Let's talk about starting your own accessibility and compliance business in 2026. Today, I received an email. Hi, Chris. I'm interested in starting an ADA consulting business offering auditing services and guidance. I have no experience. I have been told to start with DQ University. My question is which course that you offer would be a great addition without giving the same info? And then I wrote back a response that is collapsed, and we'll get to my response in a moment. It just didn't fit on the screen. And then the reply to my response is thanks for the information. So I'm gathering the ADA business course isn't the best fit right now. Okay, so let's go to a graphic. In the center of this graphic is money, and around money, there are 6 different potential offerings. You're by no means limited to these offerings, but we have different ways to make money in this space as a professional. And there are several things I need to get to. Let's start with this. You need to provide value and you need to be excellent at what you do. And you don't have to be a technical accessibility expert to make money in this space. But you want to make sure that whoever hires you is receiving a service, possibly a product that aligns with what they need, and it's excellent. You want to provide excellent services, excellent quality products, etc. So that needs to be at the start. So if you're, and I'm not, this isn't talking specifically to that email. I'll get to the questions in the email in a moment, but this is just generally when I read comments and I know people are looking to enter this space, and there are so many people that are thinking about, well, do we add accessibility and compliance to our, for example, our web design agency or whatever it is? Make sure that what you are offering clients is excellent. Start there. Make sure that the value is there for the client. And so that gets into the first item I have surrounding money, which is audits. So if you're offering audit services, you want to make sure that you actually are an expert in auditing. You're actually able to offer auditing services that are going to help the client with finding all of the accessibility issues. And so if you're a beginner, when I talk to beginners who are interested in auditing, I discourage auditing because they shouldn't be auditing. They're not ready to. It's very technically involved, and it takes. I would say you need at least 8 months of heavy experience before you're ready to start auditing professionally. And I would go ahead and extend that to a year, just as a guideline. Just hey, look, we need a year of experience before we're ready to start auditing. So, and then in the coming years, and not too much too distant in the future, we will see AI with the ability to automate auditing to a very high degree. So maybe not completely, but AI audits are coming in the next few years. So if you're just beginning, it really doesn't make sense to start auditing. And here's something else that I don't think a lot of people know is that auditing isn't as profitable as it might come across. So you see the tickets and you might see, oh, I can make $2,500 per audit. Yeah, but those audits take a lot of time. And again, there's a lot of knowledge and experience and expertise that goes into being able to audit. So you don't want to just start auditing because you see the prices. It's low margin anyway. I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you're just starting. Now, you can hire someone and then you can offer audits that way, but just make sure when you hire someone that they meet the qualifications that I just set out. Because the whole point here is that the client is going to know all or almost all of the issues that are on their digital asset. Obviously, there could be human error, but we want to make sure that the client is going to get back a very exhaustive list of issues where we have an auditor rigorously and thoroughly and meticulously going through the digital asset, and they are able to effectively evaluate against the web content accessibility guidelines. So when you think about starting going into audits, I just don't recommend it. And there are so many other ways to make money. I don't recommend it. That's why I discourage people when they're new to auditing. If you don't have the technical accessibility expertise, then I just go ahead and leave audits to someone else. And again, you can go and start really. You can have the beginning of a business if you find someone that you can source out to that actually does an excellent job, but that is more difficult than it sounds. There are a lot of people that say they can audit, and there are a lot of people who cannot actually audit. So it's very difficult. It takes a long time. It's not as profitable as you think. So there is audits. If you want to do it, you definitely can, but just know that you're going to need 8 months of real intensive study. And just also generally think about if you're going to enter into profession, you can't just, I know accessibility is right there. And I talk about accessibility and getting started all the time. But I'm speaking to accessibility professionals who are in this space. Now, if you're new, I'm talking to you too, but there are other ways that you can get started in this space, not auditing. So I don't recommend auditing if you are brand new. And then we have consulting. Now, consulting is something that's not going to take you as long to get into because it really is a matter of learning everything in play and then getting some experience along with that. But you just need to know the different terms and concepts, be in this space, understand the space to a degree, like to the best you can. And then you're ready to start consulting, because many clients don't even know the very basics. So for example, if you watch this channel, let's say you watched 50 of my videos, you go through them, you start to connect the dots, you start feeling like you have a good feel for this, then you could potentially start consulting, because most clients, it's just really the basics that they need. They don't need anything too advanced, but you might be asked a question you don't know if you get started before you're ready. And the bullet points here are not applicable under consulting. This is actually, I used a template. So these are remaining from a template, but you can start consulting within a few months, but you do need to learn the space. So again, if you're brand new, the web content accessibility guidelines are absolutely essential. You need to know these, right? You need to know what the requirements are. So that's the essential foundation. And going back to the email, let's see here. It says, I've been told to start with DQ University. I took DQ University many years ago, and I remember it being solid. So I don't know what it has evolved to or if it's exactly the same, but DQ University can definitely help you learn the web content accessibility guidelines. It is a subscription. It's more expensive than my WCAG course, but there may be more that's included. I've looked into it. I just don't remember it. I took the course so long ago, though. I took it a long time ago, and I remember thinking it was decent. I think it's more on the technical side, but again, I don't know where the current state is. But I don't think there's any problem with starting with DQ University, especially because I think it might be even better than when I've taken it. So going back to the email, though, yes, DQ University is going to help you with the web content accessibility guidelines. Just make sure that there might be different. The reason I'm hedging is there might be different programs that DQ is offering. So I don't know, but just make sure you're learning the web content accessibility guidelines. And then which course of mine would be a great addition without giving the same info. So I've got multiple courses, and we're going to come back to these, but I first wanted to address DQ because you do need to learn the web content accessibility guidelines. There is no way around this. If you're going to be in the space, you have to learn the web content accessibility guidelines. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Maybe if you are simply connecting web design agencies with accessibility companies, maybe then, but still, I'd recommend learning them so that you understand better what's going on. So what I have marked as number 3 is products. So if you're more technically inclined and AI can help with this, is you can make products around accessibility and compliance. So this could be plugins, this could be apps. I could tell you that there is a real problem when it comes to cookie banner accessibility. So you could start offering WCAG conformant cookie banners. There's a real opportunity in products if you can make the products. And then along with courses. So let's say you want to start a course training on one specific thing, then you could offer a course that's going to be a longer startup. It's going to be more difficult to actually get people to buy it, especially if you're brand new. But if you're in this space, then courses also make sense, and there are all sorts of unique angles you can take to this. So those are some potential products ideas. And by the way, this is by the ability to enter the space. You are by no means limited to what is on this graphic, but these are just some of the common ideas you have. But there's more and more that you can offer. And I'm going to talk about this in my YouTube membership. I just noticed that I misspelled membership, but I'm going to talk about this in my YouTube membership, which is coming this month. All right, so moving on to the next service, user testing. So if you have a disability, if you can find issues, especially if you are using assistive technology, if you can provide reports, this is yet another service that you can offer. Then I have number 5, program management. I have really a training on YouTube for program management. Here you have leadership, organization, direction. Some people are naturally inclined to help with program management. This is something that a lot of different organizations need, especially with Title II. They're trying to figure this out. I can tell you they don't understand this that well. They really don't. So I don't know. This is something where you could ask if they need it. They probably do. This is where you get into fractional accessibility, but there's a real need for program management and helping different organizations with compliance. And then I have number 6, connecting. So this is really where you become more detached from accessibility. I would recommend the background, but here we have partnerships, referrals, affiliate. You become an affiliate, and or you're white labeling services. So you could do this and make money, provide value, help organize everything. Just think about if you're white labeling. So with white labeling, you're taking someone else's services, and then where the white label comes in is you are basically repackaging them and then giving them to the client, and then you can help streamline everything, help the client understand what's going on. You're going to have a markup, and you're going to provide that for the client. So with partnerships, you could be partnering with somebody, with an accessibility company, maybe just an accessibility professional. You two partner together. You take care of the marketing, you take care of the leads, they take care of the services. That's what I was alluding to with the audits, or maybe they're just under your umbrella. There are so many different ways to take this. So you don't need to be involved in audits, but there's just so many different avenues, and there's so many different um, there's so many different ways you can hyper specialize within these different avenues. We're going to talk a lot about that in the YouTube membership that is coming to this channel in January of 2026. Uh, all I'm waiting on is I need to hit the requisite hours needed to offer memberships. I'm really close. Once that happens, we'll have a YouTube membership, and we are going to be talking specifically about making money as a professional in accessibility and compliance. And I've got there's something I have there's an infrastructure that I can provide, and just how we're going to connect everything. It's never been seen before. So it will be very cool. It's designed for accessibility professionals to make money and to really, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm just going to leave it at that. But there's the YouTube membership itself, and that is where we're going to talk about. Hey, here's what you need to do, or here's what you should do. There's going to be a community behind it. It's going to be something really cool for accessibility for professionals that you will not find anywhere else. Of course, I run accessible.org. I'm going to be helping you understand what clients are looking for, what they need. We're going to talk all about it. But going back to the email, let's see. My question is, which course that you offer would be a great addition without giving the same info? Well, the WCAG course would significantly overlap with DQ University. Then we have the ADA compliance course. And keep in mind, I did not create the ADA compliance course for accessibility professionals, although I had the idea that professionals might use this, but this course is designed for people to know exactly how to reduce their risk of being sued over website accessibility. So what I've done with the course is I've taken the complaints that are filed in court, analyzed those, found which issues come up the most, sorted those, prioritized those, tell you exactly what the issue is, what they're looking for, and then how to fix it. So that course is extremely helpful if you're helping clients reduce their risk of a lawsuit and understanding where the most risk is at. One thing to keep in mind about the course is there's overlap with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, but it's not the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, because when you see claims in these complaints, plaintiffs' lawyers are looking for something specific. They have something specific in mind, and it's not always tied to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. There is a tie, but it's not a direct tie. So the course I would recommend if you're helping clients reduce risk and also prioritize. And then we have the accessibility business course. And then let's go back to the WCAG course. So the WCAG course is going to teach you the foundation, right? What are the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines? What exactly do they require? What are some examples? Help me understand this. This will help you understand the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And then you have the accessibility business course. So if you are very serious about this, like there's not a doubt, I want to get into accessibility and compliance, this is something I'm all in with, then this course is going to help establish the foundation to help you understand how to operate your business, how to create your, it's not about creating an LLC, but like how to actually develop the business side of what you're doing. And so this could potentially help you with getting a job, but that's not the focus. The focus with this course is starting a business and operating a business and understanding what comes up along the way. When you're working with clients, understanding what clients are asking for, pricing, the services that you offer. It's everything, right? Like this is tells you my mindset when it comes to starting your own accessibility and compliance business. This course is 10 hours long, so it's really the foundation. And then that's where the YouTube membership picks up. There will be some overlap with the course, but the YouTube membership is not about teaching you how to start a business in accessibility and compliance. The YouTube membership is about the real-time application of the lessons in the course. And the course is going to have all of the resources that I talk about in the YouTube membership. So the course is definitely a standalone. Like if you take the course, it's going to help you. It's going to help you a lot. I can't like if that course has a lot of information that would have saved me hundreds of hours of time and literally like tens of thousands of dollars in knowing what to do and what not to do. The course is so important, so helpful. And the YouTube membership is going to contain some of that information, but not most of it. And the YouTube membership will also not contain the resources. And when I say resources, just think of documentation and any future documentation that I have. It's all going to be inside of the course. So the course is really the flagship. This is where I would start. If you're building a business, especially if you're new to starting a business, and this is going beyond just a contractor, although you can be a contractor, right? But this is going beyond having an informal business and getting to where you are actually serious about this and you are operating this as a business. So of course, I highly recommend the How to Start an Accessibility Business course. But I would say make certain that this is what you want to do. And if it is, then go all in. And this course is when you're ready to go all in. get this course, and it's going to really help you. It's going to help you organize your thoughts, get started sooner. It's highly, highly beneficial. So yes, to answer the question in the reply, I'm gathering the 88 business course isn't the best fit right now. No, I just don't start off. I do recommend it. It just, I didn't like when I read the email, I'm only going off of what I have. And I talk to so many different people. Everyone's at different places. Some people are already professionals. They're ready to get started. They just need one thing or another, or they're just missing certain information. Other people are thinking about offering services on Fiverr, and they're not sure which way they could go. If you're just wanting to offer services on Fiverr, I wouldn't recommend the business course. Uh, if you just want to be a contractor and nothing more, then you might not. It might not be worth it to get the business course. But if you want to actually have a business, then yes, I'd get the business course. But when I so going through my response, this has obviously been exhaustive. But when I'm responding to this email, I'm thinking, technically, what do you need? Because when I see auditing services, I'm thinking, okay, what? But technically, if you're going to actually audit, because I will answer when I get a question, I tend to answer it like precisely. Like I'll give you the exact what you need to know. Like sometimes when you hear information, like think about if you go to one of those seminars, like a weekend seminar, and they tell you about what they're doing, but they don't tell you this is exactly what you need to know. I'm the person that tells you exactly what you need to know. So when I reply to emails, it will be for that. Like I'll cue in on something and then I'll base my answer based on that cue. So I wasn't even at the business course yet, and so here there really wasn't enough information for me to know, like, like offering consulting business, but then you say audit, offering services. I just, in my mind, I'm not thinking about the business course. In my mind, I'm thinking about, well, let's start with the auditing, because you said auditing, and I want to address that first before we even go into the business. Because if you want to offer auditing, this is what's necessary. And if you do want to become an accessibility auditor, this is not to dissuade anybody from becoming an auditor. Like if that's what you want to do, then do it. But I would say align with what you excel in. And if you're a beginner, you just don't excel in accessibility auditing. But this is not to stop anybody from pursuing what they actually want to do. But I want to make sure that you have the realistic look at what is necessary. And what's necessary is going to be at least 8 months of intensive studying, researching, practicing, getting in repetitions, and learning how to actually audit, and then investing in any, maybe even help from someone who already is a professional auditor. And so think of it like we look at college all the time, right? Look how much college costs. Look how long it takes. With accessibility and compliance, yes, you can greatly accelerate that timeline. But part of this is investing in what is necessary to become a professional. And I'm not saying this is, again, this is not towards this email. This is just generally because I talk to so many people about this. You have to put in the time. It's not going to be this is not something where, because it's accessibility and it's not like something that's where we have a lot of clarity when it comes to certification and when you can actually audit. You could tell someone you can audit right now. It doesn't mean you're able to do it, right? So if you're going to become a professional, you really do have to develop expertise. And why I keep insisting on so much work on auditing is because I want everyone to understand the realistic side of what it takes to actually become an auditor. And there's a lot of work, and so that's what I want you to know ahead of time. I don't want to. I don't want anybody to be under the false impression that it's easy to become an auditor or it takes a lot of time. And the other part of it is just my genuine advice. Like if someone was asking me, like if somebody came up to me and asked, like, should I become an auditor? It'd be no. That would be my advice. I would tell them, if you want to enter this space, which I recommend, I am in this space, and I think it's only going to grow. I think it's a great idea, but I wouldn't become an auditor. I would fit in some other way. And so products, right? Partnerships, connecting people. If you can connect people, and there's room for this in the marketplace. If you can connect people, I was going to say something. I'm going to leave it for the YouTube membership. When the YouTube membership opens up, it's going to be good. So just when I open this up, sign up. It's coming January. We're just waiting on YouTube, really, or I guess myself on the videos. Once I eclipse a certain mark, we're going to open up memberships, and there I'm going to share everything. But obviously, I talk about starting your own business. I have multiple videos on this. I have the course. I highly recommend the course as a start. And it just depends where you're at and how serious you are. So yeah, so 2026 is the year. Like it's a great year to get in this space, but just remember that when you're entering the space, you want to make sure that you can provide excellent quality services, possibly products, to clients and customers. And if and there's going to be, if you're new to the space, there's going to be some investment on your side. But again, going back to the book, here it is on Amazon: Digital Accessibility and Compliance. Go through this, read it once, read it twice, learn the concepts, learn how everything relates to one another. This is going to help you so much. So this is actually reading this book. If you read this book and if you're still thinking like this sounds right, this sounds like something I want to be in, then that would be where I would start to look into investing all of this money. But what I don't want anybody to do is to invest a lot of time and money and then decide, well, this isn't really what I wanted to do. So that's part of what this video is I'm talking to so many different people at once with this, because I get this question a lot. A lot of people ask about businesses, and I do recommend it, and it is something to be excited about. But I also want the other part too. Like what this is the other side of it. I want the client and the customer to also get the benefit, right? To of new professionals entering the space. So there's so much here. There is real opportunity to make a lot of money if you're brand new. Just spend the requisite time investment to learn what is necessary. If you want to start a business, my course is a really good course to help you understand the business side of this and get started and organize your thoughts and start thinking the right way when it comes to pricing, when it comes to working with clients, when it comes to so many aspects of actually running a business. And then there's just the contractor side, where you can simply be a contractor and keep everything very simple. But if you're looking to level up and really start to open up the ceiling on how much you can make, then you can make a lot of money in this space. And 2026 is really going to be the year where things start to open up. So there's not there are so many ways to enter this space. So definitely don't have just one thing in mind. There are so many ways that you can make money. And let's see here. Actually, I'm not going to go to my course. I'll link to my business course in the description. You will need to learn the web content accessibility guidelines, whether it's through my WCAG course, whether it's through DQ, whether it's just you studying on your own. You can pick up the web content accessibility guidelines for free online. It's just going to take you longer than if you have a structured course to help you along the way. But yeah, if you want to enter the space, there is real room for opportunity, and you don't have to spend 4 years to get a degree and to understand this. You just have to level up, and depending on what you're doing, going back to the graphic, depending on where you fit in, and potentially even a number not on this graphic. So again, we have audits, products, program management, connecting, user testing, consulting. There are other ways that you can make money in this space, and in the YouTube membership, we're going to talk all about it. So that's going to be opening up this month, and yeah, I'll include more information in the description.